feast your eyes on the breathtaking new Ferrari SF90 Stradale, a hybrid hypercar with 987 horsepower and actual usable pure electric range. It is not only the prancing horse's most powerful road-going model ever, but it's also the first plug-in hybrid in its history and a model launched to also celebrate its history. But let's break it down. Ferrari created the SF90 in order to celebrate 90 years since the formation of Scuderia Ferrari, the racing team created by Enzo Ferrari in 1929 that later became the sports and supercar manufacturer we know today. So even though Ferrari's inception as an automaker of road-going cars is considered to be in 1947, the company actually traces its roots back another almost 2 decades. And since this is seen as such an important milestone, the SF90 has to be quite a special thing. And it is. Most of the SF90's motivation is provided by a spruced up version of Ferrari's award-winning modular V8 engine. In this application, the twin-turbo unit displaces 4 liters, upped from 3.9 liters, and makes 769 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque, or exactly 800 Nm. The transmission is an 8-speed double clutch, but the engine doesn't power the car on its own, instead relying on the aid of 3 additional electric motors. The car is all-wheel drive, so 2 of these motors are independent and located on the front axle, while the third sits between the engine and the gearbox and provides additional all-electric motivation for the rear wheels. Together, they make a combined 987 horsepower, and Ferrari says they can propel the SF90 from 0 to 62 miles an hour in 2.5 seconds and onto a top speed of 211 miles an hour, or exactly 340 kilometers an hour. The electric motors draw juice from a 7.9 kilowatt-hour battery pack, and on a full charge, they are said to provide a range of up to 15.5 miles or 25 kilometers. Interestingly, in full EV mode, only the front wheels are actually being powered. So this is therefore not only the first plug-in hybrid Ferrari ever, but it's also the first front-wheel drive Ferrari too. Well, occasionally anyway. And being a PHEV that not only has the usual engine and transmission, but also additional electric motors and batteries, the SF90's weight of 3461 pounds or 1570 kilos is very impressive. Ferrari says that the components for the electric part of the powertrain add 595 pounds or 270 kilos. That means it's 220 pounds heavier than a Ferrari 488 GTB or 440 pounds heavier than a McLaren Senna. Even so, it makes up for the weight penalty through sheer oomph, with a power-to-weight ratio of 629 horsepower per ton. The aforementioned McLaren Senna has less power but is also considerably lighter, and it actually beats the SF90's power-to-weight ratio with 659 horsepower per ton. However, its claimed sprint time to 62 miles per hour is 2.8 seconds, so on paper, it's not as quick as the Ferrari. Comparing the SF90's lap time around Ferrari's home circuit, the Fiorano, its 79-second time puts it 0.7 of a second ahead of Ferrari's flagship, the LaFerrari. It is also 1.5 seconds quicker around that track than the track-focused 488 Pista. However, you can make the SF90 Stradale even quicker and more hardcore if you opt for the Assetto Fiorano pack that adds adjustable multimatic shock absorbers, carbon fiber door panels and underbody, titanium springs and exhaust, as well as a more aggressive rear spoiler that makes 860 pounds of downforce at 155 miles an hour. The pack is completed by a set of semi-slick Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires that are not very good in the wet but are extremely good on dry surfaces. The car's overall proportions and look do visually link it to the 488 that's currently in the range. However, the SF90 looks more futuristic and even more purposeful than the GTB. It easily has the most aggressive front fascia of any current Ferrari, and the same goes for the rear end. Naturally, this isn't just a styling exercise, as most of the shapes you see around the car's body are there to channel air in a specific way. It's all really rather lovely to look at. And inside is a similar story. The overall aesthetic is similar to what you see in the 488, but again, it feels more advanced and more futuristic. Just take the digital gauge cluster for instance. It is a huge 16-inch curved screen that can be configured via buttons on the steering wheel. Ferrari says it is the first automotive application of a curved screen this size. The interior is even more minimalist than that of the 488, with fewer visible buttons, aside from the ones on the steering wheel, and an even cleaner, less distracting aesthetic. It also has some pretty cool climate control vents that look as if they were first manufactured, then put in an oven to melt a little bit before being fitted to the car. It is quite a cool look actually. It definitely grabs your eye and also raises a few questions. At around $500,000 before options, the SF90 Stradale is not a cheap car. That means it's around 200 grand more expensive than a 488 GTB. But it is considerably faster, more technologically advanced, and more exclusive than that car. If we compare it to the $1 million McLaren Senna, a car with similar performance and a similar exclusivity factor, it does start to look like it's a bit better value. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like it and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.